This video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. Oh, hello. Welcome to today's episode of Dan Does. Clearly, 'tis Halloween, so I'm going to be making a monster. That is pretty much it. I'm going to make a monster and then paint it. Give this some time for the title to appear. It's time to share with you my secret shame. When I'm not making YouTube videos, as I've alluded to in past videos, I like to 3D sculpt, print and paint horror creatures, mainly from the 80s, some from the... God damn it, phone! As I was saying, some of them aren't, some are from the 90s and other decades and such. What I tend to do is I try to 3D sculpt something that I know there isn't already a toy or a model of. But this film here, This Be Spookies, otherwise known as Twisted Soul. That title was incredibly familiar. Can you say Goonies? I want to make this little guy. He's referred to as a snake demon in, well, not in the film, but in the production side of things. There's hardly any footage of him. It's very dark, and there's hardly any production stills or photos either. But I managed to find a few, and I've started 3D sculpting from those. Now, people have asked me, what program do you use? Well, I'm using Nomad. I think it was a one-off cost of about £20. And the tablet I'm using, which people seem to think is a super powerful tablet. Mine, it must be from NASA, that tablet. Well, it's not. It's a Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, which was quite reasonably priced when I got it years ago. And I can do these things on that tablet. I'm sure you can do them on yours. Unless the thing is ancient or a literal tablet that your nan might take. Back to the snake demon. The snake demon is covered in lots of little creases and lovely details. This thing is going to dry brush beautifully. I can already feel it. Now I have printed it and I have primed it with a black matte spray paint. This matte spray paint is from the pound shop, and that's why it doesn't look matte at all. Look at that thing, it's like it's covered in tar. But it's fine, we'll cover this up with actual paints. For the record, it was printed on my Elegoo Mars 4 Ultra. Thank you very much to Elegoo for that printer. Now I'm an airgun virgin, pretty much. I'm trying out this airgun here just to give it a prime, which is working out pretty well. This thing is powerful. I'm not going to go into the details of this airgun just now. Is it called an airgun? I'm going to call it an airgun. I always forget the name of the thing. It's a thing that looks like a pen, but you're pressing the button and paint is shooting out. A spray gun, air gun, whatever. Anyway, I tried to use it, and I tried to use it on the details of the face just to add a few sort of subtle gradients of yellow on the underside and a bit of red on the ears and the eyes and the mouth. By the way, when I filmed this, I wasn't aware of the Vallejo controversies, and I've had this model air kit for a while. So I do apologise if the very sight of these paints is angering you or triggering you or anything. But I'd already filmed the shot, and this video is short enough, so I'm going to keep it in. Just know that I'm not very happy with them. Being an airgun virgin, I wasn't very good at it, and when I did eventually get round to painting the face with a bit of red, it ended up looking like Homer's makeup gun from The Simpsons. I'm not going to show you a clip, I'm not that kind of channel. You can use your memory, or you can look it up yourself. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Hello. Now, if you're anything like me, you sit down far too much. Now, thanks to the guys over at FlexiSpot, they've sent me this lovely E7 Pro standing desk. And my, is it a lovely thing. As you've already seen, it can take my entire mass, which is quite a lot, might I add. And with this handy little touchpad, you can adjust the height, go up and down, even save your preferred heights, i.e. sitting and standing. I'm going to save this one here as sitting. You just press M when you're at your desired height and then press the option you'd like to save it as. And then no matter which height you're at, press one of those buttons, it will return straight to your desired height. It's great. It's the future. Now this is a much more comfortable height if you want to paint your models, but you want to give the illusion of exercise, i.e. standing up. Now I don't know about you, but when you get to the sort of mid-years, the weight tends to gain around the waist there, and that's from sitting down, or so that's what they've been telling me. So this is great if you want to, you know, move around, feel a bit more free while you're painting your models. I don't have a brush, imagine this is a brush. Painting, painting, painting. Just bend the knees a bit. Look at the height. I'm a tall guy. It's made of steel. I mean, not the top bit, the bottom bit. It's steel. That's why it's so heavy. Heavy is good, heavy is quality. It's a solid table. Nice. Back you go. FlexiSpot provides all kinds of standing desks and ergonomic chairs to meet your demands. If you really want a stable frame for premium use, I'd recommend their E7 Plus standing desk with 4-leg design. And use my promo code, as seen here, for $50 off at checkout for the E7 Pro standing desk. Thank you very much, FlexiSpot. And now back to the Snake Demon. I have done this again. I've painted the thing again. I've done the same effect I was hoping to do with the airbrush. That's what it's called, airbrush, but with a paintbrush instead, which I'm more comfortable with at the moment. I do hope to practice with the airbrush. That's going to come up later on in another episode. Now, when I 3D sculpted this thing, I made sure there was tons of texture, and for this purpose, this lovely bit of dry brushing. Now, in the olden days when dry brushing was invented, every kid would take a white paint, well, bone coloured cream, sometimes white, and just dry brush white over their models, and it looked terrible. Everything looked dusty. Every model looked 20 years older than it should have been. So whenever I do a dry brush, I only go a couple of shades lighter, and once I've got it sort of covered, you can barely notice it, but once I do a sort of a general dry brush over the whole thing, I think I've gone for a slightly lighter green here, then I will add a wash over the top, and you'll hardly see that dry brush anymore. It'll all be married in. But as you do this stage over and over again with different colours, it gives it more depth, more sort of makes it more real, in my opinion. See, this is a how-to, I suppose, but it seems quite arrogant to tell any of you how to paint your models or your minis. This is technically an 80s horror movie aesthetic. Those monsters from the 80s horror movies weren't painted the same way you'd paint your Space Marine. So this is that look. This is that kind of look that I'm going for. Not a fucking Eldar or something. I've mixed a brown wash and a green wash there to get this tone and smothering the thing. I do dab occasionally if it's pulling up too much. I don't want too many obvious pulls of wash, so I use a cotton bud or sometimes a cloth. Now, when they used to paint these puppets, they used to airbrush them, so they're normally much larger scale. This is obviously a miniature, but that was a very much airbrushed aesthetic, which is what I'm trying to translate onto a smaller scale. I talk such gibberish. I listen to myself back sometimes. I think, what the hell are you talking about, Dan? And yet I don't go back and change it. I keep it in. This is real life, people. This is happening live. I'm literally painting this thing, editing it, narrating it, and uploading it simultaneously. Taking a brief moment here to say a big thank you to the patrons and a big welcome to the brand new patrons. So I have them written down on my Overlook Hotel notebook here. I'll just read them out. We have Wizards Workshop, Hayley Houghton, Alex Trenchy, Blue moon. Promised I wouldn't sing that, but I did. And Xavi Alonso. Thank you very much. I really do rely on you lot, you patrons. You keep me going. There would be no channel without you, so thank you. This decoration's far too low. I have to duck each time. I must warn you that if you do decide to support me and you are going to join Patreon, which would be very lovely of you, that if you do it through an Apple iPhone, then they will take 30%. iPhone will take 30% because they're a bit low on money, iPhone. They're a bit skinned, so they need that extra bit of money. So I would suggest that if you were to do it through a desktop. I'm not 100% sure if it's fine to do it through Samsung, but they really do like to fuck us over, don't they? Apple. Did you know that you can buy an Apple phone, they don't even give you a charger for it? It's ridiculous. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all. Oh. What's this? It's embarrassing. Here's the guy after the wash has dried, and I've given him another dry brush of I think a slightly lighter colour. I can't quite remember. It's looking a bit lighter, I mean, going by our eyes, but it's a very subtle effect. I mean, I'm not in a rush when I paint these things. Are you in a rush? Are you a busy person? Do you need speed paints? Is that what you need? Because otherwise, just relax. Every mistake can be fixed, and everything can potentially be turned into detail or texture or realism. Look at your hand. It's not just whatever colour your hand is. There's all kinds of colours going on there. Now we're on to the detail stage, and I'm going in with a red wash that I've watered down a lot. You can always go darker if you need to, but I like to water them down because I just want it to be a subtle sort of red blemish on the lips and around the eyes and on the ears here. Because I can always add to it. You can always add. It's not as easy to take away. And once the red parts are done, then I go on to the shadowy parts of the skin there. I need some dark, very dark green to sort of just show the creases. Although I've put a lot of texture on this 3D print, it has lost a lot of the texture because of the scowl. So I'm adding a bit more in the frown lines and things like that. If you look closely there on the brow, during the printing process, this snake monster, snake demon, seems to have had a little bit of a Botox because the creases left its forehead. There are a lot more than that on the actual sculpt, I'm sure. But I've added a few sort of light green dots on there just to accentuate the texture, or at least give the impression of texture. And once the dark creases are painted and the little dots are painted on the forehead, I give the entire thing a flesh wash. Flesh wash hardly shows up, to be honest. You can hardly notice a flesh wash on something this colour, but it really does make a difference. It makes every colour look like it belongs together, and it makes it look like one whole thing rather than the sharp, abrupt lines of different colours meeting each other. I mean, that's of course when it's dry, not now. You can see that flesh wash. It's clear as day. Look at the state of him. But when it's dry, there's hardly anything there. But it's subtle. Your brain knows. Your brain just knows. It's unlike me, but I'm incredibly happy with the way this looks at this point. It almost has a Ray Harryhausen monster look to it. I think it was Theo Kane. I was talking to him the other night. He said it looks like the Kraken. Bring out the Kraken, or whatever they say in Clash of the Titans. And you know what? He's right. It does look a bit like the Kraken. A little bit. And now it's time for the real detail now, starting with the mouth. Going to paint the whole inside of the mouth black. Teeth and all. And once that's dry, you magically pull out to reveal that the eyeballs have also been painted. as if by magic. But I'm going to paint the teeth the same colour as the eyeballs, which is an off-white. I think it's a bone colour. Just so we can really see them. The teeth on this snake demon are all over the place. It has fangs, it has human-like teeth. They're all in different directions. He's a right gummy twat, this thing. The nails, all 6 of them, get a similar treatment, but with a more brown colour, slightly darker. Darker than beige, lighter than brown. Some are in the middle. And then just do the tips with the same bone colour I did for the teeth and the eyes. Speaking of which, it's time to paint the eyes, the iris and then the pupil. And to do this, I'm not going to put my faith in any kind of brush. They're far too unpredictable. I'm going to use this, my tiniest ball stick, or ball stylus. This is used for sculpting. And I'm going to start by dipping it into whatever colour the iris is going to be on the outside. Do the outside of the iris first. So I'm going for a darker orange for the outside. Do that, dip that, get that nice little round dot. And then going to do a lighter orange on the inside, which I think I've sort of glazed over that in the footage here. And then once that's done, it's time to move on to the pupil. Even my tiniest ball stick is not small enough for the pupil on this guy, so I'm going to use a drawing pin and dip that into black. And I'm not even going to attempt to do the pupil on camera because of the way my camera setup is. I can hardly get in there. With my huge muscular arms, it's very difficult to slide in between the camera and the model. So I'm going to do that off camera. And there it is done. It seems like I've sort of gone a bit wonky on the left eye there, or our left, his right. I fixed that though, off camera. You don't need to see that. And then there's pretty much only one thing left to do, and that is a bit of UV resin. And I'm going to use the UV resin to make the dome, the lens over the eyes, which will make a world of difference. You'll see that in the final shots. Oh, hello. I was just defrosting 1.7 kilos of chicken. Enough about me. Before we go to the showcase, I just want to say a big thank you to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. If you are interested in getting a FlexiSpot table, then the link is down below, and don't forget to use the code. I'll put it up again. Thank you, FlexiSpot, and thank all of you for watching. I hope you have a lovely Christmas and a lovely New Year. Then it's on to January, which is ultimately quite depressing. It's just cold, nothing to look forward to. I'm going to start jogging in the new year. I decided that. Hold me to it, please. Say, hey Dan, you started jogging yet? As I'm stuffing my face with chocolate fudge. Here's the snake demon.